And Game 4 is going to be interesting because it's the first time anybody has had to play their second game. Soniqs are back on the cards, but now they have the other brand new team, and so far they're 0-1 against brand new teams in the league. It's Luminosity's re-debut in the North American League. The last time they played was, God, in Tier 1 competition, like 2021 or no, 2020. That's been a long time since we've seen their faces.
Yeah, I mean, Soniqs looking for a bit of redemption now. They really didn't start the day off as they expected. I don't think anybody here or even at home was considering the fact that Wildcard might beat Soniqs, let alone kind of put them in the dirt as they did on Bank. So for SQ, I mean, I'm hoping that they had some relaxing massages or something throughout the last couple of hours because they need to be focused now.
No, you're absolutely right. And, you know, that game, I mean, again, Soniqs is a great team. They know what a loss is like. They know how to deal with it. And I'm confident that they're going to shake it off. You know, it is what it is. They're just going to focus on what they need to do and beat LG. And, you know, however that comes out to be, they're just going to focus on what they need to focus on.
I certainly hope so, because if for their own sake they were to go 0-2 on the first day, you don't have that many games to go through. If you play a doubleheader, that's a quarter of your stage done, because you only have 8 best of 1s to play through this portion of it before you get to best of 3s, if you even get to best of 3s. So it's a really big thing to make a good first impression. And the guy who we need to make a better first impression, or I guess technically a second chance, a second impression, is Rexon, because I think we noted that the first time he even managed to find the scoreboard came considerably later than he needed to when they played Wildcard on Bank.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to call the first impression, right? Oxygen haven't played today, Rexon hasn't played today, whatever you want to call it. It was a tough start for Rexon. Often what you saw in game number 1 was it'd be Rexon out on the roam, and he'd be right alongside Gunnar, and Gunnar would get his picks. He'd find that opening pick, but Rexon was just absent, a ghost alongside Gunnar who wasn't able to contribute, wasn't landing those shots, and this is not the Rexon that we know. We need to see Rexon showing up once again. He wasn't the only problem, obviously, on that team, but he was the most obvious one. He was the biggest kind of early problem that would fall and start the domino effect for Soniqs, put them in a hole that they always had to dig themselves out of. Rexon is an incredibly talented guy, but we just didn't see him in the first match of the day, so I'm looking for some improvement in game 2.
Yeah, and, you know, I don't want to harp on Rexon anymore. I mean, you know, you have a bad game. It happens. It's going to happen. Like, again, I said in the beginning of the, the cast that, you're only as good as your last game. So, this is a redemption period for him. And I know Rexon knows what he needs to do in order to fix it, and along with the entire team of Soniqs, because it wasn't just Rexon's fault. When you're losing a 7-2, that doesn't just fall on one person. That falls on the entire team. And like I said, I'm more than confident that they're going to figure out where their hiccups were, where the issues were, where they could be better at, and they're going to apply that going into this match.
Honestly, you say you don't want to harp on Rexon. I don't want to harp on Soniqs too much, mostly because we know they're better than this, and sometimes you literally just have an off day. An off game. You don't want it to become an off day when you're playing a doubleheader. That's probably the biggest thing that they'll have to correct. And can they do it against one of the brand new teams? They couldn't do it against Wildcard, but can they do it against Luminosity? Again, first time they've been here since 2020. They had a CL team at one point, at I think, last year? And then now they're back in the league, picking up a couple of faces who we are at least somewhat familiar with by proxy.
Yes, and I think there is a key difference between Luminosity and Wildcard. Wildcard has been thrown together before the season. There's really no history there. LG, they had 3/5 of this roster, as well as the full coaching staff, back on SSG Academy, right? They've been playing together as kind of a core for a very long time. Eddie and Snake in particular have been together for so long. So, this is a squad who has been together and working as a unit for a while now. And I think that in some ways that gives them an extra leg up over Wildcard even, because they've got that history, they've got that experience.
Yeah, and this is similar to a Wildcard situation with the LG situation. Here is, you are playing against a team, once again, that you don't know the little idiosyncrasies that each player has. So that, again, given the map, given the certain play style, you aren't going to be able to predict what's happening, where LG is going to have a little more knowledge on that. But two people that do stick out to me most is obviously Snake and Asian. Snake obviously being on TSM, he's a really great player overall. My thing with Asian here is obviously he had a very short-lived early career being on, I believe it was Parabellum.
It was, yeah.
I took over after, so. But like he came in and he had a really good impression in T2. And this is where I'm saying, you can be great and phenomenal. It doesn't really matter because he had a good game when he came into Pro League, but then it immediately trickled and he immediately fell off. So I don't want to harp on that necessarily because I believe Asian is a player that is capable of fixing his mistakes and doing what he needs to do in order to improve. I just want to see the consistency going forward in terms of improvement from him. I don't want him to just have one pop-off game and then that just be it for the rest of the stage. I want to see a pop-off game, then maybe going into a mediocre game, but then back to a good game, and then maybe a bad game, but then back to a good game.
And it's nice for Asian as well because he's actually played with this core before. He wasn't with them on SSG Academy, but he was with Snake and Eddie, I do believe, back when they were originally on LG. So this team, LG has sponsored some of these players before. You can kind of track the roster. He's got some experience, though. And I've talked a little bit with Wafer, their coach, and he said that does play a part into why they wanted to bring him back because they've got that experience with him. It's very natural to bring him back in. So I'm hoping kind of with this familiar environment, we can see Asian maybe get a little bit more support and not crumble after that opening couple of
and
games.
It goes into what we've talked about before. It's like sometimes players just don't work on said roster. So maybe even like just specifically talking about Asian, maybe, Parabellum wasn't the roster for him, but now that he's back with players that he's familiar with, has, that chemistry with, maybe this will be the team where we really see everyone pop off and be a dominant team. Maybe.
Eddie, Silent, and Snake were all on ATK or Space Station Academy and Element 1 and Breaking Point, and they also have the same support staff from there as they add Asian and Twist onto the team, which means when we talk map vetoes, a precedent does exist for this team to some extent. For Wildcard, we had no idea what they were going to do, but we kind of have an idea what this team was going to do, but did they do it, Jesse?
They did, Jacob, and I'm glad you bring that up because I think we've ended up on Luminosity's best map, Oregon, coming through here. This is the map that they beat Beast Coast on in Breaking Point. That was a 7-2 game, very dominant. Of course, different org, all the same players though. And then on SSG Academy with 3/5 and the same coaching staff, they played this map a ton, including bringing Oxygen to overtime in the semifinals of Game Rogue. So this is a very comfortable map for them, and I'm looking at the maps that Soniqs chose to ban. It feels like instead of taking away LG's strong maps, they chose to take away these question marks. You see SQ banning both Nighthaven Labs and Consulate, 2nd and 3rd.
So seeing this end up being Oregon specifically, I think this is actually a really good choice with the map bans being obviously Luminosity picking it, but I mean SQ has to, obviously force it into a direction. And I think a map like Oregon, even if this is Luminosity's best map, I think Soniqs want to keep a map where you can't be surprised by a flank. You can't be surprised by what a player is doing. Everything is pretty much straight in your face. So Oregon is a very default map, I'd say, for every team and getting a general idea or consensus of what's going to happen. Nothing really should take you by surprise on Oregon.
It's also probably for the best that Soniqs got defense first, just because if it's defensive favor, we all know how Oregon plays out, that it's the exact same formula for the most part now. But for LG to have attack first against Soniqs, knowing that they weren't that great on defense on Bank, now it does kind of even the playing field a little bit. Again, law first impressions matter so much, and if Soniqs struggled so much early on, I think if you're LG, you actually have a little bit of a pretty decent confidence boost seeing what map you're going to.
Yeah, well, it's tough, right? Because I think on one hand, Soniqs are historically a great defensive team. It's what they really shined on in Copenhagen. And on the other hand, their Bank defenses earlier today were kind of garbage. So I'm taking my hands off the steering wheel here. I'm hoping that with SQ, that first game, write it off, it's a fluke. We can go back to their Copenhagen major defenses where they will pop off, and that would make this a very hard start for Luminosity. But, you're going to face challenges, and for LG, their first game of the stage, why not get it over with quick?
No, I can't agree anymore with that. It's going to be a challenge for LG regardless, no matter what. Going into Oregon, like I said, it's a very default map. So again, they can't really pull out anything crazy. They're going to have to rely on a lot of teamwork here, a lot of maybe trade potential, maybe trying to squeak someone in, sneak someone in. But overall, I think the team chemistry here and the team play is going to have to be on point if they want to best Soniqs.
We've had 3 7-2 games back to back so far to start off Stage 2 of the NAL. Is Game 4 going to follow suit, or are we actually going to have a faster or a shorter game? I got no idea. I'm going to let the casters do it. It's Parker Mackay and Nicholas Morrison with the call for Game 4.
Well. I got to say, first throw that I think I've ever received from Jacob, and he nails the landing on my last name. How did he do with yours, Nick?
I'm very impressed as well. It also caught me off guard going with the full name, but I mean, the meme with the 20 seconds is still there, so I guess it applies pretty well.
Our clean Twitter handles. Sorry.
It is very clean.
Formerly Twitter handles. You know how clean they are. You see that?
No, it's
Can't
lovely.
pay for that.
No, we were out there early back in the day. We got those off the market immediately.
Snatched right up. Let's turn our focus to this game, though. Soniqs will be playing their second matchup of the day, going up against Luminosity, who as a logo and as a name you have heard before. And if you've watched in previous seasons, you know who Snake and Asian are. They played previously, but there are 3 new players who have never competed at this level, and Eddie, Twist, and Silent will make their debut today. And dear God, we have the dreaded Yaga face back with Silent. Oh my God.
No, that would do it.
No way, man. Free me from the shackles of this prison.
That meme will just never die. It'll keep living on. And the thing is, I mean, while Eddie, Silent, and Twist, they might be new to the professional Tier 1 League of Siege, they are not amateurs when it comes to Siege as a game. They've been grinding Tier 2 and Tier 3 for so long, and that just kind of touched upon this. As a core, this team of LG, they have so much experience together, and Laxing said it as well. You know, Asian might not work in one team, but he works in this one, and that goes for every single player. The boys are basically back in town when it comes to LG. These guys, they already have synergy, they know each other's playstyles, and they got a lot of experience together. So I think they're on a great pace here, starting Lorcan. It's a solid map, simple map, as Desk said too. Open events going the way. You can break down, Parker.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is one of Soniqs' historically best maps here on Oregon. So for them, it should be a better performance.
Yeah.
I should hope, than what we saw previously. In terms of these win conditions, for me, when I look at these two teams, Soniqs had obviously a very rough start. Match number 1 did not go their way. LG are looking to come in and do basically the same thing that Wildcard did. You take a brand new roster in Wildcard that don't have a lot of scrim days together. They don't have a lot of matches under their belt, if any at all. Luminosity at least have matches under their belt from when they played in none other than Caliber Jacob's Breaking Point series that happened last month. I can say that because it's September now and the whole year has flown by. It feels like June was 3 days ago.
No, you're so right about that. I still can't believe how fast time is going by. And in general, I mean, it's funny because we had this big summer break, right, with no pro league, and then I was like, oh, you know, such a long break, but at the same time, it also flew by. And here we are, stage 2, baby, already back in business.
ATK finished 3rd in Breaking Point, which was the name of the squad that all 5 of these players played on. Jacob mentioned it during the desk segment that lion's share of players on Luminosity came from that Space Station Gaming Academy roster. What was it? Twist came from Carnival and Asian was on Aerial Arise, if I remember correctly, back in Element 1, which is no longer called Challenger League anymore, but old habits do tend to die hard. Win conditions, like we said earlier on. Number 1, Rexon cannot go 1-9.
True.
That is the big thing for SQ. They did not seem to play like a team. The Luminosity, I honestly don't know if there is a direct win condition here. I think if you're a new team with the experience that they have at the level that they do, you're just kind of hoping to hang with one of the top teams in North America and pull out as many rounds as you can. Wildcard, obviously, I think overperform that. Will Luminosity? That's the question.
Yeah, I think the big showcase here is simply just like how good are you for fundamentals, and look at this. You do the blue shield here with the Flourish Drone, you get the roam clear on Gunner, despite playing the Mozzie hiding in that games room upstairs. They're working on so many angles. They're also entering the small tower portion of the map, so LG, I think they gotta show us how good they actually are. In the first minute of the very first round, I would say that already right now, looking very strong. And let's talk about Snake real quick. He's playing Grim as well, so very unique operator.
Since we've had such a large offseason here, if you haven't been keeping up to speed, number 1, Grim has received a couple buffs. And on top of that, we have both Fenrir as well as Ram now in this game as new operators that we haven't seen played at a top level consistently. This will be the first stage that we see them active. You saw some Fenrir earlier on today. Ram was played, what, in EU, I believe, yesterday, if I remember correctly.
Also played a single round by Soniqs, but that bank game we can just forget about. So,
It's a laundry defense, by the way. Halfway through round number 1, obviously losing Gunner early on is not something Soniqs want, but, and I don't mean this the wrong way, it's a position that Soniqs do tend to find themselves in more often than they probably like. Mozzie's pests will continue to play around various door frames, walls, etc., creating that information denial that was so prevalent with Mute and Mozzie combined. There were also a whole host of shotgun changes and something that we will keep an eye on as time goes by. Final minute now. Salt from upstairs catching those magnets as well. The Kiba barriers will stop them as all of a sudden the Candelas go down and one Selma goes off, but it seems that there's a bit more of an impediment for LG to get in, Nick.
Yeah, I think the big question mark here is where is Snake going to use those B canisters at, because that's going to signify the big push here. Candelas, sure, that's going to be a blind utility, but Snake, he's going to compartmentalize that basement and clear out the angles.
Cut off the one hallway with those Bs giving information. Eddie in a heads-up gunfight, but he thinks otherwise of it. No elbow control at the moment whatsoever for LG. They're going to sneak their way in with the Candelas rolling out, finding a second kill, this time on the Grixer. Soniqs falling. Rexon, the only one on the board. He gets his first and potentially only kill very quickly on, but look who's there for the retake. Geo drops right into the arms of Snake, and LG's entrance to the top level of competitive play is done quite successfully. They put a W in round number 1's column.
Very successfully. The Ying, the Flores, the Grim, utilizing utility very well, executing together, roam clearing off Gunner. And this is the thing, I think Soniqs actually had a great start themselves, because typically on their basement defense of Oregon, they're a very passive team. They don't really peek the staircases, they don't contest those drones, they don't really roam a whole lot, unless it's like a full-on roam strat, which of course attackers will find out in that prep phase. But in that first round, they did have that lurker. Gunner was roaming, but it was shot down immediately. And then we see Geo actually going for a successful flank into meeting, but he didn't swing the hatch. And he could have seen the Planetary from LG, so a clear lack of information from Soniqs clearly punishes them. But more than anything, it's LG taking full control of that round.
What an impressive start. One thing that you touched upon with the way that SQ played Bank, when you and I went back over these matches that of course we didn't cast, but we did watch, you said that, what did you say about SQ? What was their strategy that you felt that they weren't able to do on Bank that you were hopeful that they could do on Oregon?
Well, I wanted them to get more active out on the map and have more freedom and operators, right? And get into those gunfights and not be limited by the map itself. And I was like, Border Oregon are great for those things, and we kind of got there. The last two maps were indeed between Border and Oregon.
The game is up, Grixer. Ooh. Takes a little bit of damage on that spawn peak. An early first pick for Soniqs would set them up quite well. Don't want to surrender that first pick ever. Talk about that. Old habits die hard, and the fact that the first pick almost always gives you the round win. At one point, it was as high as 80%. I'd be curious to see what it is now, as we are in indisputably a frag-heavy meta.
Yeah, we certainly are. Aggression is very important, but still, of course, playing together, not just mindlessly running around. Opening kill now is very important, as you mentioned, because having that meta bench gives you so much more. But look at this. One man's going in, one man's also on the flank.
Well, Citizen on that flank doing what he does best. Down goes Grixer. They trade out. Both teams at this point keeping pace with one another. The Citizen's been found. He's taken out Snake. All that experience with TSM way back in the day will prove to be quite invaluable on this LG roster. It's already paying off very early on. Down goes Geo to Twist, and it's Asian, another player with experience at this level, to give LG their second round in a row.
I mean, that entire round is just so off pace, and what's even more off pace in this match so far is the bomb site rotation. Oregon, you're always going to go basement first. Soniqs did that. And then when you lose basement, you're almost always going to go straight back down there unless it's, you just don't believe it'll work out. It is one of the strongest defender bomb sites in the game, and it's been that way for a long time. But Soniqs immediately changed to the secondary bomb site of that kid Storms upstairs. And look at this, it's less than a minute into the round. One member of LG's on the bomb side, Citizens on the flank, but the collapse is just there, and it's so much more clean from LG. If you blurt out the names and teams and, you have to guess which team is which one right now, you would guess incorrectly. It is Soniqs who are running on the bomb site, not knowing where LG are striking from, and it's LG just mowing down Soniqs. I mean, attack repeats on the fact, this could change, but we're seeing a blitz from Eddie right now. And this is just kind of setting the pace from LG. They're kind of toying with Soniqs. They go slow the first round, clean execute. Second round, all of a sudden, they're on the bomb side. Third round, now they're starting to get very comfortable. They're showing some spice. They're showing some not uniqueness, but they're showing some character from their team. And we haven't seen them play in Tier 1 before, so this is very interesting to watch.
I always love getting to see new teams play and adapt. I've never played at this level you have, so you can obviously speak from experience on this one, but I would imagine that it's very challenging at this level to play against teams with minimal experience because they don't always know what they're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, your opponents certainly don't. This is a rush from LG, by the way. They already got nearsighted trying to breach into blue and have now lost Azen, but Eddie will spearhead the next push. The blitz shield in hand, taking down Geo. Twist in the graves. Grixer follows, and more nearsightedness for Eddie. Oh, those dread mines are doing some serious work. Reducing Luminosity just to 2 players, 3 remaining for Soniqs, and we're not even at the first minute mark of action yet. Oh my. Eddie's still toiling. SQ will need to retake the site. Snake and Eddie working in tandem. There's information gained from the shield there, and Eddie can begin the plant, but there's silence ringing out amongst the bomb site. There we go. In hand, Eddie starting it. Nitro Cell expended. Well read by Snake. 5-0 again. Most experienced player on this roster. You're going to need him to go big. He's doing it so far. Another attempt at a plant. It's read by Citizen. Falling off, but that shield makes an awful lot of noise, and now it's Citizen to die to Snake. Eddie softened up yet again, all on the shoulders of Gunner. But you know what staring down a blitz is like, Nick. It's not a lot of fun. Snake gets it done, a huge 4K. Nothing that Soniqs can do is working. LG up 3-0.
Nothing at all. I mean, it looked okay in the beginning because they traded 2 for 1 effectively going in the favor of Soniqs. But the thing is, even when LG, they kind of get shot down in the initial push, right? Sure, the blitz survived, but the injury behind him, the fuser carry, the blue push, that died really quickly. They didn't really succeed in that area. And especially for a new team, you might be thinking, okay, your plan doesn't work out. How do you adapt? And it is very difficult to adapt to situations because you have scrimmed, you have practiced, sure, but you have not faced every single scenario before. And now you got new operators, and we saw both Fenrir and Ram in play in that round. We saw the Grim Gadget, nearsighted members in both Blue and Pillar, making the life difficult of the player on Blitz, but they still figure it out. And sure, it's Snake, the most experienced player arguably of this roster, who was there to secure that round with that 4K. Tactical timeout being forced out by Soniqs, and they gotta start changing something around massively, very quickly, because otherwise this will be very soon.
Wonder how much footage Luminosity had on Soniqs to make that call very early to get in and do so as fast as they did. First kill coming in at 30 seconds on the round, Nick, which is quite a quick pace for this map. Quite a quick pace for that bomb site too, especially since you had a Fenrir with those dread mines established outside of tarps. You haven't down where the team is going to be approaching from. They're not even in the building yet, and already Soniqs have information that, hey, they're coming in quick. We've already got one of them activated. Maybe we should get back to the site quickly. Didn't really seem to happen. It took quite a while for Soniqs to get 2 of their offsite players back into position where they could strike back against Luminosity. And at that point, it was already a 3v3. Still got 2 minutes to go. You've still got a shield up. You can isolate the blitz. You're gonna have a bad time. And the longer that blitz sticks around for, the worse it's gonna get for the defenders.
Absolutely. I'm actually a very big fan of Soniqs bring out some more util here. We see both the Aruni together with the Mira, and of course continuing on with the Fenrir. This basically is a classic example of, okay, LG, they can shoot straight. They're confident in their gunfights. They got good intel. Let's just put utility in their way. Let's see how good the util clearing game is. But look at this. The roam clear, so efficient. 30 seconds of the round, silent. He's knocking the bomb site walls down that freezer staircase. They got full-on map control now in the hands of LG. And sure, they might be dry peeking some of these corners. They haven't droned everything out. But they are safely assuming that this will indeed be a bunker hold from Soniqs. And they are correct to believe so. Only 1 drone has been shot from the side of LG, so they have so much time, so much intel. The only thing they truly have to now capitalize on is simply the execute. But that is, of course, also the most difficult thing to do. Twist has a shotgun in Ibana. You said it, Parker.
I was just about to point that out.
The shotguns got both. They are half snipers these days. They do a ton of damage up towards their 14 meters or so in-game, which usually covers the majority of the bomb site in distance. So Twist could become an entry once these hatches have all been reached.
The Type 89 is a pretty great weapon. The one main knock against it's small magazine size, but I mean, if you've got that Supernova with the suppressor on it, you're usually going to see it in the hands of Amaru, not either Echo or Hibana. It's just a small change. And again, as the seasons for all these stages go on, we're going to get to pick up on what are general trends with the shotguns, but additionally, these trends are more regional or not. It's a slower round as first three just flew by. Luminosity exerting a great amount of force on Soniqs up to this point, but as it is a third defense on this laundry bomb site down below, it looks like Luminosity are taking their sweet time, dotting their I's, crossing their T's, an all too familiar drop and box. And it nets Snake, his first death. No! 8-1 is an impressive going, but more concerning for Luminosity is how few of them are remaining. Twist goes belly down with shotgun out, leaving Silent as the only player from LG, but suddenly he turns it around. Rexon and Citizen gone. Silent's gonna look the wrong direction. Gunner and Grix are remaining. Utility still up, Gunner has the cross, and that's Soniqs' very first round victory.
And they needed that. They needed that so badly and so desperately. But when we look at Oregon, generally speaking, I mean, you're expecting like a 3-3-half, maybe a 4-2 in favor of defenders, depending on how good your tertiary bomb site defense is. Usually, you'll always win basement, and then like going upstairs is, you know, at best case a 50-50. And then tertiary, if you're good at it, can actually be a very stable position to be at. But you know, you go basement, you lose it. Upstairs, you lose it. Downstairs again, you lose it. Sonic still went there a third time, and it finally works out. It was that util cover, and we saw it when they executed correct from LG. They are blinded by the Fenway, or nearsighted rather. The mirror windows were a problem, and the crossfire from Sonic is a little bit better this time. They won their individual gunfights, and they even got a C4 kill on top. So once you really start pushing back against the LG, and you take away that like the pace, and you take it back into your control, I think that's when they're gonna start just to kind of question their place a little bit more. But if you give LG too much space, they will take it every single time. We see that with how quick they are on their entries.
5 seconds remaining.
A little observation
Tight
block
setup, by the way,
usage.
from Soniqs. Do you see that?
Attackers are heading
Yeah.
out to the
Bailiff for
I was gonna
Fenrir,
say.
Bailiff for Alibi, Super Shorty for Legion, regular shotgun for Mute.
A lot of self-destruction, of course. Alibi got those observation blockers, which are also still relatively new to pro play. And what they do, well, basically they it makes like a wall that drones can't see through. Players can, so you can kind of put them in positions where a drone would like to be far away to see, you know, a long angle line of sight, and then that block will be put down. Now the drone has to go through the barricade. It's not a mute jammer, it's just a wall basically, to then see what's on the other side of the wall. So if you put them down in important areas, you'll just have to force people to actually go all the way through them, as you can see right here from Exxon. If you throw a drone in this window, which third time's a charmation, you will not be able to see the eye. Oh, you actually threw it down the ground. He's gonna pull up. Okay, so he's gonna throw it in. Maybe we'll see it. But basically, he cannot check the close left position because the wall is there. But he doesn't even go for it. He's on the roof. He's not gonna bother with his tier 3 hold.
Spoke the Amaru into existence in the previous round where I said, yeah, usually when you see the suppressed supernova, it's because of the Amaru, but wrong. Still one observation blocker, by the way. I like the diversity from these teams and what they're bringing, especially LG. They know that they like their Candela execute down below. That's pretty common. Ying is an extremely strong operator on this map, and with the Capitao and Dokkaebi bans in, it's going to allow her to be even better. She's got that secondary hard breach gadget, and she can completely paralyze you when she goes for a drop. In this instance, though, LG have a lot of tools at their disposal, and it doesn't matter what operators because the guns hit their marks. SQ lose 2. Luminosity in a 5v3 with over a minute to go. They have either drawn even or gotten the first blood in every single round. Another for LG on the mark. SQ just reduced to Citizen and Grixer. Neither player positive at the moment, but Citizen trying to get back to even footing. There he goes by eliminating Twist. That's your technical single hard breacher, but there's still of those can opener gadgets in the back pocket. Evasion.
Yeah, and you got so much map control and presence as well. You don't need hard breach at this point in time. You need some intel, act upon it, play the guns numbers, right? 4 versus 2. Those are great odds if you can collapse together with those 4 remaining members, and they do just that.
Juggle around that diffuser, get somebody in. Grixer's the only one remaining. Can't take out Silent. That 417 really packs a punch. First half, 4-1 for LG. One more round to go, but no matter what, LG will win their very first half that they've ever played in the North American League, and that is quite an accomplishment in and of itself.
Yep, and they're doing it on attack. And the big thing about that is that, you know, when you're defending, you just have all these tools and you'll build, you know, a maze, you know, you'll build basically a complicated puzzle for your opponent to solve. And that's pretty easy because you have the tools. When you're the attack, you gotta analyze, okay, what's the enemy doing? Okay, what shall we do to counter that? What works well against this? And you kind of pointed out, LG are very flexible. They do the blitz stuff, they do the armor stuff. Now they're playing global gadget of Lion, but while they're doing all these things, look at this. In this particular arm we just witnessed, they're playing both the Brava and the Twitch. They are gathering so much intel, but at the same time also denying that from Soniqs. They were hacking the mute jammers and Defender mines with the Brava drones, denying information, taking meeting control, taking gunfights. While they're doing that, they're also holding the top floor cross. So when Sonic starts seeing, oh, there's movement in lobby, movement in meeting, etc., let's start rotating to help these people out. Well, there's also a guy big window, just simply holding the cross, jumping in, taking that risk, and they always pick up 1 or 2 members from Sonic that are just moving a little bit too much around the map. And I mean, Valkyrie is open and on the board, but it's not really being brought out by Soniqs, and I think they need intel. I don't think they have too much information as to what exactly is going on from LG's attacks. It's a problem for them.
I feel like this happens all the time with every league, though. As a new team gets in, and there's one of 2 ways that it goes. Either they're absolutely horse meat, or they win their first 2 or 3 matches, and then things kind of fall off as, you know, that beginner's luck or whatever you want to call it dries up and they get found out. I mean, I remember back the first season of Pro League that I ever casted from Poland, we had Noble come in, like that second season, and suddenly they win like their first 2 or 3 matches or whatever. People are saying, oh, these guys are the real deal. And it's like, well, no. They're good for a map or 2.
That's the thing, I mean, usually the thing with new teams is that you simply just don't have a lot of depth, right? You have the strat book and it's maybe 5 pages long. You look at more veteran teams or with just new teams with more veteran players maybe, they have a strat book of 20, 25 plus pages. So you have to really put value into your current situation with your team, but also always be building for the future. It's not always easy, and there's so many maps. We got both Nighthaven and constantly being brought in, so even older teams now have to make new strat pages.
Nice pick by Citizen on the silent. One thing I was going to make a note of is that SQ always have these lurk-heavy defensive holds, and they can bite them if teams cut through quickly and know how to isolate the off-site players. And with LG, if you look at their top 2 players, in terms of kills, Silent and Snake combining for 16 now, as down goes Citizen at Snake's hand. LG seems to be isolating them quite well and picking them off, which puts even more pressure on the shoulders of these anchor players for Soniqs. And honestly, the anchor play has not been for SQ where it usually is. That poses a significant problem as we get to the final moment of the very final round of Luminosity's attack and SQ's defense.
Yeah, but this might be the round. Anchors are in great positions, but again, Griggs are running around a little bit too much there. Takes a little bit of damage. Being, of course, very important, stuck in that big window position, but Rex in the midst of it finds Asian, so numbers favor Soniqs.
You're worried about that flank, though. Grim is an excellent operator now to take care of that after the buffs have come in. And you can already see some of the bees are going off, so not all hope was lost. Rexon is proving his worth. 2 picks so far in this round as Eddie goes down as well. Snake will join Twist. The last player remaining will he too meet his fate at the hands of Rexon. No, Grixer decides to swing top white, and the Soniqs escape the first half with a bit of a scare. They pick up a second round, and we'll hit the reset button as team swap sides.
Yep, and now we really gotta see what Soniqs can do, because now they brought it back to a winnable position, but still a little bit shaky. Players starting to come online, the team play is there, the crossfires, and the big thing to note for Soniqs in that final round on their first half is that they got the opening pick, and sure, he got traded back within 20 seconds, but they recognized that, okay, we've taken off 1 member. That's gonna already make it difficult to execute, because with only 4 attackers alive, you are much more limited where you can be on the map, because you need as many guns as possible in that same position. So now just consolidate, play close together on that bomb side, almost like nobody was really moving besides Grixer, and the 2 times he did move, he was taking a fair bit of damage from Ying on the big window position. So Soniqs is recognizing, we've already done our job, sit back, relax, wait for LG to come towards us, and we saw an Attic as well, they had a bulletproof camera. So they actually had intel in that round to make those decisions, and they took those gunfights with information which they didn't have in those previous ones. No surprise to us, LG will also start on that base and bomb side, but they got a bit of a roam game going on, with Asian and the Warden up above, not playing 90 downstairs as you'd normally expect.
Did my eyes deceive me, or did I just not take these records correctly? But no successful diffuser plants for LG that I saw that entire round in terms of opening blood. LG got 3 uncontested opening first picks. Soniqs drew even or got the first pick, but then LG answered back twice. Only the final round what I counted as Soniqs getting that opening pick and then using it to their advantage. It was Citizen who got that kill on the Silent, and he was traded, but it took some time.
Yeah, I believe
Go ahead.
the very first round, sorry, I believe the plant did go down for LG, but the round basically ended a second later, so it didn't really impact anything. That was the Geo meeting flank, they planted, etc. But yeah, all in that, spot on.
Get into that tricky thing where it's like, well, does the plant actually matter if the round ends a second later? But we'll see.
Matter no, but stats are stats, Parker. They're very important.
That is true. You got to do it for the stats, and so many players will indeed do that. Those dread mines going off, which is, again, is just information for the defenders. If you're able to get out of harm's way, they at least know that somebody was in the general vicinity. There's footprints grabbed by Rexon. As this round also just flying by. We're at the halfway point, no action yet. Ferocity that we saw from Luminosity in those first 3 rounds has not shown up for SQ just yet, but the different teams, they'll play it differently.
Yeah, it's flown by, but in complete, opposite, way, essentially. We have Soniqs playing Jackal and Nuke for roam clear, and they've taken 2 minutes out of 3 to roam clear the map. They haven't breached a single hatch yet. And here we go. I guess Scrim has breached a lobby hatch technically, but that's like a super low value one. We don't even count that one. Okay, freeze is over. I take it back. They've breached all the hatches now, but there's still only a minute to go, right? The LG had twice the time to do it, and you don't have a Ying. Sure, you got the B-Boy, you got Grim on the table, and you got Florist drones, but who's going to really initiate an entry on this round? Grix are only buying with flashbangs, maybe Citizen get a nade kill. Sonics are gonna have a hard time to actually open up this initial start. I'll see how they do it.
Agent taking some damage as now Soniqs are inching ever closer to the bomb site, and Rexon thinks that he has his prey. He does indeed, he's correct. A much better game from Rexon. Soniqs get the first pick, but traded back swiftly. Citizen in on the action. Advantage goes back to Soniqs. Silent swinging, picking up both of the kills so far for LG in this round. He's surrounded by bees. They know where he is, but he's still killing either way. Twist reduces Soniqs to just 1, and then Silent gets the 4K. Huge individual efforts from LG have defined some of these rounds. Snake had the 4K earlier. Now Silent gets one as well. And the very first defense for LG is a success. 2 rounds away from a victory.
Very big success indeed, and this is the thing, when you don't have these execution-oriented operators and attack, you really only have bullets to work with. And while Rexon finds the opening kill, which then gets traded back rather quickly, where's the follow-up? Well, it's just hard for there to be any. You don't have that blitz, you don't have a multi, there is no Ying, so you're just walking in guns blazing, and Silent just a little bit better at that. We'll see the replay throughout all those kills right here on our screen. And I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna walk in through this hallway, walk in through the laundry hallway, and you're just gonna be met by this, a pre-fire from the Roni, high fire rate, and attackers can only really be coming from 3 areas there. The meeting hatch drop, freezer hallway / hatch drop, and the laundry hatch / laundry drop as well. So you don't have a lot of options. It's very easy for defenders to know where you're gonna be coming from. There is no surprise factor. Citizen not successful on that back tower stairs either, and that really was maybe the one way Soniqs could open things up, but it got shut down.
Jammer deployed. Reloading. Throwing back.
They're the operator lineup right now for the defending team. I don't see anything outside of the ordinary. Some small changes versus what Soniqs were bringing on this bomb site, but Amira upstairs I feel like isn't a common sight that we see, more often down in laundry. You might play her upstairs if this was a main floor defense. Am I losing my mind, or do we just not see teams do this all that often?
No, you're completely right. We don't see this very commonly done. I mean, Mirror as an operator in general across, let's say, every map doesn't see a whole lot of play. There is, of course, a mutant play because of it as well, to deny the hard breaches destruction on the walls that has that mirror window. Asian on Lesion. Lesion is an operator we have not seen that much of in the last, year and a half of pro play. But he too got a nice cheeky buff in the most recent patch. The Gumans now do, instantaneous damage when you step into them. So chip damage is now a thing again. Maybe we'll see some Finger on attack, who knows, because of that. And they tick down quicker. He gets more of them. He has a secondary shotgun. The TLDR is Lesion is incredibly strong. I think in the EWL first 2 play days had like a 60% plus pick rate, so he is back in town as well.
Silent trying to make some noise from over towards tower.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
Gunner sees this. Perfect place for an Amaru. Sail on up to T3. Why not do it? Snake goes down to Grixer. I don't know where exactly that transpired from. That's prompting LG to scatter. Maybe get back in closer to the bomb site now that you're down in numbers. It's a nice first pick by Soniqs, and it's something they desperately need.
And they're holding on. They're not taking any risks. They're setting up their network, holding angles, waiting for, looks like Gunner to get into position. And look at that, a great shot from Geo. And that right there is going to seal the deal. I mean, now Soniqs can just, again, keep that numbers advantage.
Asian, no, not ideal. Swings into Grixer, down he goes. Soniqs are just pulverizing Luminosity at the moment. Eddie's the only person still standing. He sees one, but that Vector's gonna run out of munition very quickly. Well, the secondary shotty. Eddie is now within a rock and a hard place. Got a pick, but doesn't make it past the door frame. Soniqs pick up round number 3. They've still got work to do. That's a favorable bomb site for a lot of defenders, so a win on attack on dorms up top. That's not bad at all, SQ.
Well, I think if you're SQ, you just want any round win you can take, no matter where it is. But one of the things that happens when teams tend to play mirror sometimes, and I think one of the big reasons why it kind of fell out of the meta game for pro play at least, is that players tend to play a lot more passive, right? You got this nice cozy spot on the map with a mirror window. You have a very big advantage. They can't really clear that easily. But what it also takes away from you as a team and as a player is that you're not moving a whole lot. LG, yeah, they contested big tower, but nothing came out of it. No kills, no real map pressure, etc. The only thing they accomplished was that they stopped any sort of attic/big tower push. They gave up Master Bedroom for free. They gave them trophy. They gave them armory. And Soniqs, their game plan appears to be very simple right now. Take it very, very slow. Just don't die early in the round. Keep your guns up at all times. Double check everything with drones. And Luminosity, they have 2 ways to answer this. Either they will play this passive kind of utility game, where they will try and make Soniqs work, for problem solving. Or you run into their face, right? LG, start playing on the offense, start peeking some windows, some doors, hold Master Bedroom, hold trophy, maybe try, for example, here as we see, shut down the small tower engine from Citizen. Because right now they're just sacrificing so much map space to the side of Soniqs. And it's the same reason why LG were successful themselves. They took map control very quickly because Soniqs didn't fight them on it either. It's never easy to roam, it's very difficult, but you got the Valkyrie, you got Fenrir, you got the Lesion, and let's say you're afraid of a bomb site rush, you have the Mirror. You also have the Fenrir and the Asami. So I feel like Luminosity, they can work both sides for 2 rounds in a row now, trying the passive one. The first time didn't work out, this one might. But Soniqs, same style, very slow, holding drones, not making a lot of moves.
Is that Gunner droning himself in as well?
Yeah. Limited budget these days, drones are going elsewhere.
It's the drone economy, stupid.
Yeah,
I wish he was listening to it because I know for a fact that Lynx would love that quip.
I mean, they got 10 alive still, so you say the economy is in shambles, but from the side of Soniqs right now, it's looking mighty fine, but it's because they're taking their time. It's because LG are playing passive, and they're looking for their catch. We see it. Gunner is in the basement holding that freezer drop because they think there's a roamer down there. Twist is nearby, but not quite in the right position for that catch, but if he moves down towards that hatch, he will die and meet his demise very shortly after, or perhaps the door will be the enemy.
There goes Twist. Gunner getting the very first pick. Snake also dropped. LG's fortunes on this bomb site, not much better than what we saw previously. They surrendered the first couple picks to SQ, and it goes from bad to worse, as now while Snake bleeds out, Asian will do the same next to him. Who do you pick up first? That's the question. And, well, better yet, are they even recoverable? Eddie frying Grixer, trying to keep those numbers close. Silent will swing. He has an opportunity to get one of his teammates up, but Geo is just tempting him, daring him, as he can taste a two-piece right in front of him. Snake bleeding out, leaving Asian to bleed out now as well. Silent down, Eddie goes too. Boy, oh boy, that was clinical. That is not the bomb site for Luminosity. SQ showing how indomitable they can be when they are on their game, taking dorms back to back, and have now put LG's lead down to just a single round.
Yeah, I think if you're LG, you gotta figure out what the issues are right now. And from my point of view right now, it's the bomb site. You don't want to sit really still on a bomb site that doesn't favor sitting still. I mean, Kid Storms isn't a terrible side, but it's one of those 50-50 conflict ones. If you make some plays, get some kills, you are going to be in a decent position as a defending team. But strategically, if you're just sitting in these corners, how are you expecting yourself to be winning these rounds? Sure, if Soniqs make a major mistake, or if they don't know how to problem solve, it'll be fine. But this is tier 1 Siege. Teams know how to attack the basic maps and the basic bomb sites. Frankly, they know how to attack pretty much all of them, besides the new maps perhaps, because they're new. So LG gotta get either more out on the map, more active, or just simply recognize that this isn't working. I think they should go basement right now, as they are, evidently so, and then go tertiary next time. Drop that second bomb site, get active on the tertiary, try and make something happen there. They go for utility for the 3rd round in a row, and look at their response from Soniqs. They bring Ying, they bring Monty, they bring the Grim. They're worried about a flank or map control, they bring the Nomad too. So Soniqs, they recognize that slow equals good. And LG, they're trying to match it, but I don't think it's the right answer.
Question that the desk had raised was, are we going to see yet another quick one? The answer is no.
No.
I do appreciate that all the other teams are trying to get us back on track, as we had some server issues plaguing the game earlier on. But Luminosity and Sonic seem to want to go into the dying moments of every round, exception of a couple of those LG attacks, as we talked about. You know what? Again, I understand that a victory for Luminosity is just a victory and that they're not going to care if they ultimately lose. It's not still a win. They're not going to turn around and be like, but I was really happy with how we played. But I gotta say, just from an impartial standpoint, it's impressive the way that all of these teams have debuted today, and Luminosity, even if they do end up losing the next 3 rounds and lose 7-5, going up against a team of this caliber, Luminosity taking 5 rounds off of Soniqs, is a win in some ways. They will disagree with me, I'm certain of it. Halfway point of this round, Nick, and very different from what we saw when Luminosity was on attack. Now they are being very patient on their defense, allowing Soniqs to take up space in blue. That's being spearheaded by Geo's Monty.
Yeah, again, I don't like this look from LG. They've done so well playing that aggressive, we control the pace, we control the decisions, and then they give it up. And now Geo on the very famous Monty of his, and he's such a good Monty player because he plays it passive. It's perfect for this round. He's just standing there giving intel, stressing out the players of LG. He's waiting for all the other pieces to be set into the right places for this go execute to go. This might be it.
There's the flashes, and Asian retreats from his position, still on the stairs. Smoke preventing Geo from getting in much farther. Grenade in hand from Rexon. Still plenty of time. The Soniqs can wait this out. The gas will continue to linger. And now, Asian has no choice but to get aggressive. Eddie, the first one in the win column in terms of those kills. Rexon trades out Asian. It's a 4v4 with LG just inching ahead. Snake looking to redeem himself. He had a very strong start, but he's fallen off now, leaving these teammates to do more of the work. But good lord, SQ gets 3 kills in 4 seconds, and they've tied the game.
Oh. Geo's hipfire killed both the players there from the side of LG. He was aiming for the smoke, but he hit the mirror, who was either prone on the floor or injured. I couldn't quite tell. What an out of nowhere, essentially, explosion in that round. I mean, yeah, the Ying is a pretty big, telltale sign that something's about to go down. The first Candela, nothing really happened. But then with the second, the third and the fourth, everything just became into chaos. And that pillar position, the entirety of blue, that's where all the action occurred. And this, of course, will put us into that. Okay, what now? Well, tactical timeout from LG. Let's figure it out. It's 5-5. You've kind of lost the lead back to a tied game. It's just a matter of 2 rounds now. This would have gone to OT. And yeah, Parker, you said it. LG losing 7-5 if Soniqs were to win in the following 2 rounds wouldn't be a major loss, right? They had a great showing, etc., but only on their attacks. And this is a game where you have both attack and you have defense, and good teams aren't just good on one side. You gotta do good on both. And so far, the defensive half from LG not looking great, not adapting, not adjusting, not recognizing the problem, or at the very least, if they are making all these changes, the outcome is the exact same every single time so far. And Soniqs, they are actually showing the exact opposite. They're happy to try new things. They did a lot of slow stuff, but with different operators in different ways. And now, with attack grouping still open, of course, they're changing things around again. They're gonna say, okay, what bomb set are we facing? Okay, let's say it's downstairs. What operators do we want? Geo, you can flex stuff, Citizen can flex stuff, Grixer can flex stuff. Even Gunnar these days, in the last, basically 2 seasons, he's been playing Ying and other flex operators as well. So even Gunnar, who was known as this notorious Ashe Arena entry main who just shoots people, really good aim, he's actually providing so much value for Soniqs nowadays with the ability to play pretty much anything. Having a player go from a one-trick pony to a semi-flex play kind of player is just a big showcase into how much you're investing into that player, but also how much he's giving back to the team, saying, you know what, I'm gonna try this operator, I'm happy to do it, I know that I'm not, super flexible, I'll work on it. And Gunnar, after, X amount of time, he's not that person. He is greatly improved as a player in those areas, and it's a big strength for Soniqs because now they can just flex other players around even more. Whoever wants a good gun, they get a good gun, they go pew pew.
It's a good thing that there's some depth in terms of these kills from Luminosity, as Silent has picked up from where Snake left off. Snake started 8-1. Since then, he's gone 3-5 and is not having anywhere near the same level of impact in those fateful 2 executes for LG on attack and now on defense. And speaking to your point about this map, 3 of the 10 rounds have broken in favor of the attackers. So it's not even just that these teams might be better defensive teams. The map itself is heavily tilting in that favor. In order for LG to go to overtime, they have to match Soniqs' attack record, which is just 1 more round win. Might prove to be a little bit difficult here, as down goes Asian. One of the more experienced players in this matchup, and he and Snake are the only 2 players on LG that have this tier 1 level of experience, isn't really showing. And Asian's not exactly playing these roles that require you to die early and die often.
Oh, he's not. Also, that roaming Warden, every now and again, it is something where you really want Warden alive right now on the bomb side because you got the smokes coming out, the flashbangs coming out later in the round, and this Monty, there's just no answers. There's no Lesion. Smokes canisters are gone already with a minute to go. Geo has still more than half his health bar left, so Soniqs will just wait down for the next 20 or so seconds. And then they can again just freely choose where they want to go, how they want to go there. LG ideally, they want to lash out right now. Don't let them get the 5 before execute. Don't let them, enable all these Bs to give intel. Try and get a pick and try and claw your way back in this round.
Here go the Candelas, but without a Warden, all hope is effectively lost. Soniqs getting a lot of kills, but Eddie suddenly turns it around. Silent is trapped inside of the closet. Nitro Cell in hand to bail himself out, but Citizen gets into that spot, and there goes Geo to the Nitro Cell. Suddenly this is more winnable. Citizen versus Eddie in a 1v1. Citizen almost full HP. No utility though. Diffuser in hand, 15 seconds to go. Eddie will need to drop, guided by his teammates. He has information. Citizen sticks it. Now Eddie has to pick which corner to go through. Drone's still up at this point. Citizen gets the job done, giving SQ a win to put them ahead. They're on match point. 6-5 over LG.
And that's Ben, as we know and love, always clutch in those moments. And I mean, it looked really good. Eddie made a big play on that tower staircase, retaking control, getting that 180-degree flake behind him to shut down that double kill. But then what happens in the 2 versus 1 for LG? There's no crossfire. Capkin inside the closet, the bomb side of Silent, he swings Citizen effectively. The Citizen actually also got a team kill in that round. But the lack of a crossfire for LG, that split-second decision-making actually became their biggest enemy because Eddie could have helped his teammate, but he ran up the freezer stairs instead, playing that top floor position when he could have been downstairs and just established some sort of way to help his teammate. Capkin sticks the corner, Eddie holds the cross to try and get that 2v1 crossfire enabled, but no. and there's, you know, still that 15 seconds left. Citizen, he wins the one gunfight on site, picks up diffuser, and they have drones on site for Soniqs. They know the hallway is clear, they know laundry is clear, so he can just reload his gun, take his time, breathe it out, plant for 7 seconds, and then Eddie gets to the bomb site. Small mistakes with a major indication of the outcome. And Soniqs looking better as time is going on. Rexon on 12 kills now. No one's really falling behind for Soniqs. I mean, yeah, Gunner is 5 and 7. He's also the execute enabler on that tower staircase with the Ying, so he's pretty much the first to die with no support. Everyone's showing up for Soniqs right now, and it's massive for them.
Well, Soniqs are definitely playing more of their style of game, which is good. And again, I don't like harping on the underdogs, but coming into this game, I think you can look at a team like Luminosity with very limited experience at this level. And no, Jacob, I'm sorry, I don't consider Breaking Point to be tier 1 experience. Even though it is good experience to get your game reps in against good opponents. And this LG squad did finish 3rd in that. But it's still, it's no substitute for actually playing match days at this level. Soniqs have floated at the top of NA for, what, a year and a half now, 2 years at this point. And while, yeah, they've had some stumbles and they've made some roster changes, they've had some role swaps, they're never a team that you can ever count out. They're always able to show up when you have a roster like that. Yeah, they'll have bad days. Somebody like Rexon will go 1 and 9 in match number 1. That can be the difference. I'm reloading! For a team like Luminosity, which is 3 players making their tier 1 debut, and even then, Snake and Asian, as experienced as they may be, are still not terribly experienced when you look at a lot of the other players in this league. I think even taking 5 rounds off of Soniqs on what is historically one of SQ's best maps is an accomplishment and a win. In maybe not the way they want, but a win nonetheless.
I can't believe Silent survived that position instead of small tower.
Yeah, you and me both.
That's, yeah. But somehow he made it out. Eddie was there for support and assistance. But Soniqs have now kind of changed the pace, right? Relatively quick entry, gonna lurking with the nuke as well. And you see LG here, they're scattered across the map. They have no idea what is going on. So this slow and safe pace from both teams all of a sudden has turned into chaos. The Guma gives it away. It's a trade 1-for-1.
Well, they lose Silent. But then SQ loses 2 more, so Luminosity actually coming out ahead in that engagement. What a time for Soniqs to take their foot off the proverbial accelerator. Twist gunning down Grixer, a relatively easy kill for Twist in his debut. Sacrifice Silent, all right, but the rest of the team seems to be hitting their mark. Down goes Citizen. Overtime, unless Rexon can clutch out. A phenomenally better performance this time. Sees Twist's head. It will be the undoing of Luminosity, but he's given his position away. They know he's in kitchen. He's got diffuser in hand, but he has to pick his targets correctly. He's making an awful lot of noise, and Eddie hears this, or so we assume, right? Eddie hits the barbed wire, and that information now goes in favor of Rexon. Still 2 other players from Luminosity who I presume are being fed this information. Rexon gets nearsighted, and he has no choice but to stick to diffuser. He is a dead man walking at this point. And Snake, after a slow midway point of this matchup, gets on the board in the final round with an impactful kill. It sends LG and SQ to overtime, our first OT here in the North America League. I'd say, and I know people are going to disagree with me, but I'd say this is also a win for LG, who seem to be racking up the W's in not exactly the most orthodox of ways.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when it comes to that chaotic playstyle, I just think LG comes out ahead. I mean, it looked like they had no idea what was happening. And truth be told, I don't think they fully know the positions of Soniqs. But they come out ahead in those brutal 1-to-1 gunfights. You know, it's a 1-for-2 trade to start things off. And then when you first have that advantage, it's just easy to hold on to it. But it's hard to gain it. Soniqs tried, they fought throughout the entire bomb site, but then you got all that utility. The goo mines, for example, upstairs that Gunnar walked into. It changes everything. Gunnar was playing Nuke, and he had used his gadget through lobby, up the armory stairs, he was hiding from the mirror window, and he actually flanked at the perfect time in the round, while there was chaos elsewhere. But he stepped into one of the many goo mines in his path, and Mirror heard it and turned around and basically killed him. And that right there can just be the difference maker in the round, because now there's no upstairs pressure from Soniqs, right? So bird control's in their favor. They have to worry about the kitchen hatch now and the meeting hatch, so it becomes much more difficult. Overtime's on the menu. It's 6-6. LG will stay on defense and Soniqs will stay on attack. I honestly think that it pretty much favors the attackers in this case. Just look at how both teams have done on their defense versus their attack inside. Soniqs, of course, also having just attacked for 6 rounds in a row. They don't gotta change a thing. They can keep things going the same. Luminosity, who has been not the best at adapting to what's been going on so far in their defense, well, that pretty much points to me as Soniqs come out ahead here.
Place the terminate.
3 final rounds to determine which one of these teams goes home with a victory. Do Soniqs go home empty-handed today? The Luminosity get their very first victory? We'll see. But the way it's turning out, LG obviously favorable since they're going to be able to defend twice.
Mine active.
Say
Laying
that.
out their tools
A bomb
all
has been
around
located.
and going to an odd bomb site, you'd think, for their very first defense.
I think you gotta just, I mean, you defended, you know, the same 2 so many times, which means Soniqs have attacked it and done so mostly successfully. I think Tertiary is actually a great starting point here. I think you go Tertiary, and then you see what happens from there on out. You know, you lose, you go attack. If you win, then you go attack, but you're happier about it. And usually when you go into OT, things always tend to slow down. This is no exception. An even slower round for Soniqs. And this Citizen gunfight right here on the tower stairs is going to be the first attempt to get that advantage, but it's Twist who comes out ahead again. LG in the 1v1s are just a little bit better.
Don't let those outlines fool you. That was not a teammate of Citizens on the stairs.
No.
Blowing talent shield.
There's a big pick by Twist, and he's not far off of where Geo was either. Geo could very easily, or somebody on SQ, could drone out Twist's position down below.
Reloading. Just a little.
Citizen is a player where you can send him off to do whatever he wants against whomever he wants, and he's almost always going to win those engagements. But when he's walking in dry and without any information whatsoever to those back tower stairs, well, you're not exactly setting him up well for success. And now he's the one that's going to be on cam duty.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got this ace up your sleeve, you got
No
those
way.
shields, but oh no!
Oh, an explosive result. Geo blown up on stage. Bees are going. Rexon walking. Oh, 14 and 15 kills in close quarters. Looking for more now for a 16th kill in his hand. It's just Rexon and Grixer. 3 players from LG remain, but time is running out very quickly. And LG is showing a well amount of patience right now. And he will go for the drop, and he gets the final kill with Twist. Match point now in the hands of Luminosity.
I mean, I guess you can say that Rexon was simply, you know, saving his kills in that first game and just going absolutely nuclear in the second. But sometimes kills is just not enough because you still gotta play your base. You still gotta get that diffuser down. And usually Geo from the side of Soniqs will always be the man to get that done, right? When he plays the Monty, he plays the O's, etc. And yeah, you lose the initial injury of Citizen, but you still got the O's. You can get down a challenge shield, start planting behind it, but what do you know? There's a C4 on the bottom side right here, and you are just, no, you hate to see that. But then Rexon almost makes the miracle play. Beautiful flick onto Snake, but again, no time, no cover, no map control. Too easy for LG. Gunner, not too happy about that. Of course, you shouldn't be. It's OT. You really want that round. Now things will change around as well. Soniqs will go on defense. It's been a while. And LG will go back to what arguably was the more comfortable side. We know they can play the flex, the fast, slow, the make around on their attacks, but they gotta make the right choice now because this could be their final round.
5 seconds to go.
Very pivotal time for
Attackers
Soniqs.
are moving to defuse a bomb.
You know, I'm glad that Richie's doing well.
Ready.
I don't usually care which players or which teams do what. I'm just here for the storyline. I'm along for the ride. But I can only imagine what going 1-9, your first match of the day, up against quite literal wild card.
But, I mean, it's hard, right? We kind of touched upon it. Like, you don't have much prep work. You don't really know how they play. It's very unknown to you. You're playing Bank where you're locked into specific operators, long guns aside, people jump out windows. It's annoying. And now you're playing Oregon. It's your bread and butter of Siege. Everyone knows how to play it, you know, it's same way in rank, same way in Pro League, etc. at a high level. And it's all about just the small, tiny details right now, right? For example, the 52 gunfights, winning those, and then clearing the utility correctly, getting the right drone work, not missing those crucial steps. Like even what Snake's doing right now, making these rotates between, just saving time. But then again, while he's doing that, Silent sprints down Freezer stairs, somehow gets the opening kill onto Citizen on Warden, which thankfully for Soniqs isn't the biggest loss because there is no Ying this time around, but there is a single set of grenade, or of smoke grenades rather, and a single set of flashbangs on the side of LG.
That really is a critical blow, losing Citizens so early in both of these rounds. Time and time again, Soniqs have been bailed out by his inhuman performance. Gunner gets a single kill, but doesn't get away with his life in hand. Twist goes down, but Eddie at least has his teammates back. Advantage favoring LG continues on. He cleared out one of those roamers. Where do you go next? What's the next step for Luminosity here? Just over a minute to go. They've got 4 grenades in their pocket. They've got those 2 smokes still. Drones aplenty. Geo narrows those numbers down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the pressure's building up. You don't want to make that one crucial mistake that's going to cost you the round in OT. So drone everything, check it, double, triple check it, and just make sure that everybody's ready to go. Because 2 members of the Freezer stairs, 1 big tower, 1 laundry. It's going to be a collapse in multiple areas at once, but you got mirror windows, bulletproof cameras, util from defenders. It comes down to gunfights. LG allowed to strike first.
Oh, they trade again, but if they keep going in this direction, Luminosity's gonna win the whole damn thing. Soniqs need to get a little bit more active. There goes one of those dread mines. Grixer trying to take advantage of that. Rexon gets 1 and 2, leaving Snake to be the hero for Luminosity. He's cooled off, but you still know what he's capable of. Because the devil split in front of him, sees Grixer's head. Watched by that camera in a duel against Rexon, as slow as a sledge is. 12 seconds, 10 seconds, time working against him. He needs to pick right, and he doesn't do that. Rexon finds the opening. All 15 rounds needed between these teams. The Soniqs win their defense.
Someone's gotta stop Rexon in these rounds. I mean, he is just shooting. He's so fast. He's so precise. He is shutting down every single member of LG, and in such a crucial time in this game as well. Takes you to 7-7. You save it. The mental is no longer chalked. You're back in the driver's seat. You're hitting such nasty shots. All you gotta make sure you do now is get that final round. But the thing is, these hero plays, it's not a reliable way to win these games, not a reliable way to stay in games or win rounds. You can't always just rely on a single person to do the job. LG, they had Snake in the first half. Soniqs, they have Rexon all the way throughout this game. As you look at this, he's fighting 2 members almost at the same time. I will say, in the 2v1, Grixer and Rexon didn't really establish the greatest crossfire there, allowing Snake to isolate into the 1 versus 1. But thankfully for Soniqs, it was Grixer who died first, and not Rexon, who's now sitting on 18 kills. We'll see the same bumps that play out for this actual final round. Overtime, basically a best of 3 in round count. This is the final one, no matter what happens. We see the same kind of roam from LG we saw very early on in their first attempt of basement, where they have Asian on the wardens at that kitchen area. They got the Gumans to assist as well as they keep regenerating throughout the round. The Soniqs will do what they have been doing so far. They are paying respects to the what-ifs. Droning top of small tower like we just saw from Grixer, that is a what if there's a guy hiding there, going for this cheesy strat, you know, in max OT. No, we're not going to be caught off guard. We're not going to be lazy right now. This is when it matters the most. We're going to take an extra 10 seconds to clear absolutely everything. Good discipline. In LG, they recognize that the drone game is too strong. They're going to fall back. They killed 2 drones in total. That's it. So tons of intel for Soniqs.
I do gotta say, I've been enjoying how much Fenrir has shown up. A bit disappointed that we haven't seen Ram yet. I just want to see the drones, man.
I mean, I was gonna say, it's not the greatest maps or bomb site for,
I don't
or
care.
map rather. Oh, you don't, that, you know, that's fair.
care.
They should bring Ram for the fun factor.
That's correct.
Yeah, she has a 2.0 scope R4C. That's the closest to Ash Acre you'll have, you know, for 7 years.
Look, these teams are trying to win a match. I'm just trying to have a good time. All right? Think about the viewers.
Fair. Yeah, play the new operator, please, and thank you.
Yeah.
Although I will say, Fenrir, however, getting played all the time, so maybe that's just the balance right now. A lot of Thunder, no Ram, instead of 50-50.
There goes that shield. Those Rotero drones are going to provide incredible value, as they always do on this bomb site. LG have had a bit of an Achilles heel with the two main bomb sites of this map. You pointed it out when they went to the meeting bomb site right off the rip in overtime, that while it might be a bit unconventional for teams to stick all of their hopes and dreams on a bomb site that isn't exactly the best for the defenders, well, it doesn't really matter, because Luminosity haven't had the most success with the two bomb sites that are usually the best for defenders. So, take a gamble. Go where it's supposedly safest. You were a little bit critical of the lack of Ying before. Well, guess what? They've got one. Gunner in the driver's seat. 40 seconds remaining. Citizen involved in the first pick in all 3 rounds of overtime, this time in the favorable way by eliminating Eddie. Fenrir is gone. Rexon marching up towards Freezer, looking for kill 19, gets it. How about 20 to his name? Well, suddenly LG is taking everybody out around you. You're gonna have to do more of that work, Rexon. So is Geo. Bit of a pause, 20 seconds remaining. Silent Age in the last 2 left for LG. No. Through the drone hole, Rexon gets number 20. Could a 21 be found? Him and Silent in a 1v1, and they trade it? What on earth is the end to that match? How do you trade on the final kill? What an unbelievable result. Exasperation on the faces of all of the players as Luminosity wins in one of the most puzzling final moments the NA League has ever seen.
But hey, if
Gunner's
you're a
face.
defender, you're happy, right? You win the game.
He sums it up. Oh, what an unbelievable conclusion. Wow. That's it for this match. We got a break ready for you. Everybody in disbelief. I'm sure you are. We are. Let's kick it. Quick break.